Now that we have the foundations in place, it's now time to practice it. And this section was designed so you can follow along with me, and you get a much better idea of how the PPF kit will actually work. In this section, we'll be covering 3 things. The first one is going to be testing your solutions to make sure you have the right mix. The second is going to be learning how to stretch. And lastly, we're actually going to be installing a mirror so you can get a much better idea of how the rest of the install is going to go. In the practice kit, you're going to grab the roll labeled A, and we're going to be using this to make sure that you have your slip solution mixed correctly. So grab your roll right here, and we're going to grab your mixed slip solution, and we're going to just spray the outer layer, okay? And then we're going to spray the fender part. I mean, you could do it in other parts, but I just recommend here because we're going to test if it's slipping downwards or if it stays there. As you're peeling, it's the hardest part of the test kit. You're going to go ahead and spray some slip solution and go ahead and finish peeling that. And what you're going to do is just place it on here. And the first thing we're going to be doing is, does it move? And you can see that at all parts of this, every area is moving. The next test that we're going to be doing is we're just going to leave it here, and we're going to wait 30 seconds. All right, so that's 30 seconds roughly. And what you're going to be doing is we're going to check that it didn't dry out. So you can see that even after 30 seconds, I have no problem moving this. Again, let me show you if this is a bad solution. And I'm going to use actually some of my tack. So I'm going to go ahead and spray some tack here. So if your solution doesn't have enough slip, and the 5 ml is your starting point, okay? And some areas you might need a little bit more slip, like areas that have a lot more humidity and it's really, really hot. You notice that when I move this isn't moving. It has a very difficult time. And if I actually move this middle part, it's not moving at all. This part, you hear that noise right there? It's having difficulty moving because there's not enough slip solution. I did it with the tack solution just to kind of demonstrate that. But if you feel that, you definitely need a little bit more slip. And what I recommend doing is adding it little by little. So I would add 1 ml and then another ml until you get what I showed you just earlier. Lastly, if you have too much slip solution, it's going to be a lot harder for you because everything is going to want to come down. So this is a really good demonstration because there's some angle. I'm going to go ahead. I have another bottle. This is actually different from my other solution. I'm going to go ahead and spray a lot of soap underneath this section. I'm going to go ahead and spray here as well. You can see that it's foaming up a lot. And if you have too much slip, this is what it'll look like. You see, I put this down, and it's coming down on its own like this. That's way too much slip, right? And it's just, again, this is going to be very hard because it's not staying, and it's just wanting to come down on its own. And that's how you tell. If this happens, you're not going to be able to, just grab this and just pour it out. So instead, what you want to do is, what I would recommend is to start all over and just filling up a new bottle and going a little bit lower. Same thing with earlier, go down 1 ml, and you want to keep doing that until you get the desired effect where it's not either, grabbing right away or just so much slip that it's just going down like that. And that's how you tell if you have the right slip solution. So now that we have the slip solution and the tack solution mixed, and we've tested it in the piece A that you've used, we're going to teach you how to stretch. PPF can actually stretch 10 to 15%. And if you think about this, which is about a 12-inch strip, it could go about 2 inches max. But you really don't want to push that to the limit. So let me just show you exactly what I mean. So you're going to grab the B piece, and you're going to go ahead and spray some slip solution into this area. And for this practice module, it's going to be the same for Model S, Model 3, Model Y, really Model X, really anything out there, because the fog lights are very similar. And if you don't have a fog light that's similar like this, you could just find an edge that where you could use as a reference, and that's all you're doing for this exercise. Once you have this set up and you got some slip solution right on here, what you're going to do is you're going to peel your piece B and go ahead and peel it all the way. And we're going to go ahead and spray some slip solution, and you're going to just lay it down like so. Like I mentioned, what you're trying to do right here is you're trying to line it up to kind of this fog light, and then make sure it goes up, because you're going to use this about how much you've actually stretched. So right now, this piece of PPF is completely, I guess, stretchless. There's no stretch at all. I really like this practice because you can see that there's actually a curvature, and it's creating this fingers. And when you stretch across a certain area like this, those fingers will go away. I'll go ahead and tack this section, right? Because we're going to be using this as a reference. We're going to go ahead and tack this section. So I got my tack solution. Go ahead and flush out all my slip right there. We're going to go ahead and just spray a little bit of slip on top. And we're going to go ahead and tack this section. And look at that. We got it tacked pretty good. All right. So when you do this section, it's really important to get a good amount of tack. If you just have this area right here, it might be too little, and eventually this will fall. But you can see right now, I used tack right here, and I've tacked it where this is not moving at all. However, this is moving. So before I get into this, let me show you exactly what not to do first, and then I'll show you how, like what you actually need to do. So you can see right here, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this. I'm gonna try to not cover the camera. I'm gonna pull this and just stretch it really, really hard. So you can see that when I let go, watch what happens. You can see there's an amount of stretch right here in the corners. And what's going to happen is eventually it will pull back. So when I let this go, look how much it pulls back, but it kind of deformed it a little bit, right, over here. And that's what I mean by pullback. So when you do this, look at this. You see how it comes back? That's what a pullback is. So when you're actually stretching, we got point A and point B right here. You're not trying to stretch right in this section, okay? You're trying to stretch this section. If you stretch the edge, you're gonna have a high risk. Most likely it will pull back. That's just how PPF reacts. So instead, we use something called the palm technique. So you're gonna hold it with your whole hand, and you're gonna just move it. And your indicators, you see these fingers right here? You're trying to see if you can make that go away. And this is about 12 inches, right? Your piece for B is going to be about 12 inches, and we're going to try to make sure, we're going to try to stretch it about half an inch, maybe to an inch or so, okay? So now that we have that set, what we're going to do is we're just going to practice, okay? Use your hand, and look at this. You're going to move it across, and I have no fingers in the top, okay? And you can see that I've barely stretched it, okay? I'm not even stretching it that much, okay? Maybe like 1/4 of an inch, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and use some tack solution in the edges. And we're gonna do the same thing. Use 2 hands. I'm gonna stretch it pretty heavily. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold it on the ends just for a few seconds. And then I'm gonna use some squeegee right here to squeegee it down. And you can see here, when I stretched it, you know it's stretching because look at the way the water is, right? It's stretching, so it's kind of like making the water go like this way, this horizontal, okay? So now that we have A, B tacked down, right? You got A and B tacked down. You can now move all the, I guess in this case you could go up, but we can move all the slip solution that's underneath down into an exit point. And you can see that there's not going to be a pullback. Just for, I guess, demonstration purposes, I'm going to show you what happens if we go too far with this. So let's go ahead and just spray a lot of slip right here. And I'm gonna stretch this as much as I can. Okay, and if you stretch too much, what happens? So here we go, I'm gonna just, oh man. Okay, that's a lot more than that first time. Okay, I stretched so much and I did it so wrong, right, on purpose. I stretched it this way, right? And when you do that, this part stretched, but not the middle stretched. So when that happened, it created this finger right here. And this is gonna be really hard to go because you can see that the material stretched this way, but what's happening here, it creates fingers like this. So This is what you don't want to do. So let's go ahead and get that back. And look at the pullback right here when I get it back. You see that moving? And it kind of goes back to its original state. There you go. And you can see it's slightly deformed over here, but for the most part, it did go back to the original state. I'm going to do this one more time to do it right. Again, I'm trying to get rid of all these fingers, right? Because you're trying to stretch this middle section instead of the edge. In all our kits, we provide like where the tack points are, where the slip, where you need to squeegee out and stuff like that. But one thing that you really have to remember is when you tack an area like this, you never want to go back to this area. Because what tack does is tack pretty much seals that area. So when I do this, look at what happens. You see, it doesn't want to go back. But when you do it, because you actually created some sort of a line right here because that area is completely sealed. So same thing right here. I'm going to go back to the tacked area. Look what's happening. It doesn't want to go, and it's trying to find somewhere else, and what's going to happen is going to create bubbles in this area. Okay? So you cannot go back to where you tacked. So instead of doing that, you want to go outwards, right? And then go down to the middle, and then again, this is where I tacked, and then you want to exit where you didn't tack. But once you're done, we want to make sure that we go over it twice. So in the videos that we talk about, we're always going to do this for the most part. And we're going to go back to where we were. And then once you inspect it, and then you look at that there's no bubbles, there's nothing going on, you're going to do something called edge seal, right? So you're going to grab all the edges, and you're going to just make sure that all the edges are completely sealed. Just like that. And what this does is the A and B were the only areas that were tacked. So what that means is these areas, we just had slip and we just squeegeed it, right? So because it's not permanently tacked, what happens is this water right here, especially like the headlight area, it sits right here, especially in the 3 and the Y, right? It just sits here and then it just slowly comes down into this area. Over time, what's going to happen is you're going to have a giant bubble right here. So when you seal it, it's not going to be able to do that. Now that you've learned how to stretch properly, you'll be better equipped for the next section. And for the last section, it's going to be about how to do your driver's mirror. And don't worry, you don't have to have it exactly like fully prepped, but you do want it pretty clean. And you're going to learn exactly how the course is going to work and how it's going to play out. So take your time. The C practice kit is literally just for practice. So we are going to ask you after you're done, even though it might be perfect, to take it off and then do it again, since it might not be properly prepped with the right solution. So if you have no problem with A, B, and C, and especially with C, you have no problem doing that, then you're going to be fine with the whole kit. So we're going to go ahead and show you the mirror module, and we'll see you in the next section.
Spray your mirror with tack solution and wipe down with a microfiber. Spray with slip solution and run your squeegee over it, getting the remaining debris off. Then, spray more slip on the mirror and peel the bottom piece from the backing paper. Align the right side just inside the edge, focusing on the bottom and right side. Spray tack underneath and squeegee in place. When that looks good, spray tack into the edges, sealing that area. Spray slip and make sure the piece is moving freely while aligning the left side. There's no stretch. Just make sure the bottom is aligned just inside the edge. Spray tack underneath the left side and squeegee down. After both left and right are in place, work your squeegee from the right and left side to the middle, pushing the solution down. Spray tack into the edges to seal the edges. Now let's work on the last piece. Spray the top of the mirror with slip solution and place the PPF on top. First, align the right edge to the lower piece, seaming those two together. You want it to be butted right up against the piece, not overlapping or having any gaps. Once that's good, spray tack underneath and align again. Use your fingers to feel that the PPF is placed correctly, and squeegee that area. Continue to work your way around the curve, making sure it's aligned as you go. Spray tack into the seams and lightly squeegee down. If you do have any misaligned areas, no worries, just peel the piece back up, spray slip underneath to get it moving again, and then spray tack as you work your way down the seam again. Once that's good, spray tack along the seam once more and squeegee again to seal the edge. Lastly, start from the right corner and squeegee the slip solution out, working your way across the mirror in overlapping strokes. Don't squeegee back into the tacked areas. Once you get to the edge, you'll see some fingers in that curve. Spray tack solution into the fingers and carefully roll over the curve to get them down. Spray tack solution around the edges once more and squeegee to seal the edges. Wipe down the mirror with a clean microfiber, inspecting for bubbles, fingers, and any misalignments. Now is the time to fix those mistakes if you have any. Do the same for the other mirror.